All righty. What's going on, y'all? Happy Tuesday. I tweeted last week, I said happy Wednesday, and they go, Taylor, it's Thursday. So days of the week are incredibly subjective at this point. And so happy day. Let's just say that. Happy day.
Happy
I
day.
just have to update.
Every
That
day's
was
a day.
yeah. Every day's a day, and hopefully you make it happy. I'm excited to be with Shashi. So, I talk a lot, and I'm sure Shashi and I will get into it today, just about showing up to networking events, right? Going to meetups, going to conferences, and it's incredibly important. And that conference in Austin, I was able to meet Braden, who's been on the show recently. I met Shashi. I met a ton of people. And so I'm thankful to have Shashi on the show, and we're going to continue to talk about why it's so important just to show up, right? Why it's so important to show up, be engaged. He and I were chit-chatting off air before we went live, just about maybe throwing a meetup in Austin, about me coming out there and all of us doing our thing, maybe getting the great Danny Thompson down. So again, right? I mean, it's your network is your net worth. Right. And that's not my quote. I've seen that many times, but I think it's just really, really cool. I wish I came up with it. I wish I was that smart, but I'm not. So anyways, enough of me ran with my mouth. Hey, y'all, again, thank you for tuning in to Guidance Council 2.0 this morning. What this show is I'm just going to go ahead and say it is a networking platform. It just is. I've realized, so I'm an introvert. I'm just jacked up on coffee usually. Like right now, like Shashi, anybody who comes on my show gets me prime hours. Like this is my point. This is it right here. It just all goes downhill after this. And so this is a show just to give back to the tech community. Obviously I play in the engineering space a lot. And so please comment, please say, hey, please let us know where you're tuning in from. I've had people, I'm not kidding you. I've had people find jobs on this show. I've had people find mentees on this show.
That's
also,
awesome.
a lot of people just message me, hey, I've actually made a really good friends on the show. So please comment, let us know where you're tuning in from. And even if you watch it in the future, please comment, say, hey, because there's a lot of people that kind of just like go through and network with people. The second thing is ask questions, right? Having guys on like Shashi is huge. Typically they bill for this. But now they don't. So ask questions, leverage Shashi's brain. And then I want to give a shout out to two sponsors of the show. First off, I want to give a shout out to that conference again, where Shashi and I met, and they are the official coffee sponsor of the show. So Clark sells coffee beans. Clark is a
I still gotta get his coffee beans.
fanatic. Say what?
I still gotta get his coffee beans.
Yeah, it's actually really, really good. When I say actually really good, like you're probably like, ooh, a tech conference, it's going to be like really dark, kind of gross. No, it's actually really good. My favorite is Sassy Syntax, which is a light roast of his. So very clever. But also go check out the conference in July. I will be there. I hope to see you there. Also, too, let's just get into it. We have a lot of people tune in. So Ricardo, it's great to see you. Want to give a shout out to folks, Braden again, Chris, Mark, Cy, Lambert, what's going on? Sabrina, Anthony. Let's see here. These happy days are yours and mine. I love it. Scott, good to see you. Bill, Braden again. Damaris, it's great to see you. He's got the best tips. He does. Caprina, Jennifer, Lincoln Music from Chicago, Eugene, Alexander, Megan from London. Is that London like Kentucky, Tennessee, or London, England? Because there's over here, you got to specify. Omar, Alex from Connecticut. I love it. Austin, man, we got
a lot of people.
Robert, Ian, great to see you, Lawrence. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, holy smokes, Dominic, wow. No pressure, Shashi. Don't suck.
No.
All right, man. Let's another one from Irvine. I love it, Naveen. Great to see you. So, Shashi, just go and kick it off, man. Who are you? What do you do? And we'll go from there.
Cool. I'm Shashi Lo, senior software engineer at Microsoft. The team that I'm on is the pricing calculator team. So basically, we calculate cost per service, and there's like 150 plus services. So there's 50 different teams with different calculations and all that stuff. So we bring all that in and figure that all out so that when you try to estimate how much things are going to cost, it gives you a pretty, great estimate so that when you go provision that in the portal, when your bill comes, it's quite accurate. We're trying to be at least. But there's a lot behind that. And, currently, we're building some different products and applications as well, which is pretty cool. But Also, on the side of that, I'm a father, and I have. Yeah, so we did this little talk, and you laughed at me because my title is now CSS magician,
Oh, I
and
know. And that came from like what was that, like some tweets, right?
yeah, so it came from my talk about Pixel Perfect,
Yeah.
because as engineers, we need to bring design to life, and the term Pixel Perfect comes in play. And so I wanted to make this statement, Taylor. I have 4 birthday parties booked to become a CSS magician. Okay, so it is a real thing because
For real?
all 4 of my kids have birthday parties. So I'm guaranteed 4 gigs per year.
I bet y'all didn't wake up this morning thought you were gonna get a comedy show between us, but here we are. I love it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
But also on the side of that, I love helping people. Like on Twitter,
you do.
as I was becoming an engineer young, like I didn't have a mentor, and it
Yeah.
was really tough to kind of work my way through things. So I did things on my own. Some
Mm,
people would give me guidance, yada yada yada, but I didn't have a true mentor to help me and allow me to shortcut my route to success.
sure.
So
Ooh, I
that's
love
kind of why I'm vocal on Twitter and helping people and making posts. And it's funny how you say talk about mentorship and stuff, because I had somebody message me the other day saying, "Hey, thank you so much for your post about finding a mentor, because through that I was able to find someone." And I was like, "That's amazing. That's all I really need is one person to find someone else to help them." And sometimes people joke like, "Wait, why are you doing this? Is it for growth? Is it for that?" I'm like, "It's to
Yeah.
help you. It's your
Mhm.
chance to use my network to go and find somebody to help you so that you can um, find success in your career."
I love that. I love that. And then our boy Danny Thompson is here. What's up, Danny?
So, Danny.
All right. So I love that. So let's sit on the mentor thing for a hot second, right?
Yeah.
So does everybody need a mentor? How does one find a mentor? Like, so
Mhm.
let's talk about that, because I'm really big on that. I think I would not be able to be where I'm at right now without mentors in my career. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I would say it is vital,
Mm,
but sometimes uh, the the human in us thinks that we can do it on our own, right? And we're like,
mm,
"Oh man, mentor, forget that. Like, I can do it on my own. I'm gonna learn my own, find the resources on my own, and all that stuff." But what we don't realize is there's a mentor in everything we do,
mm,
and that person that has experience can be like, "Hey, like, go this route. This
mm,
is what I did. I did all 10 of these things. This one route is the best one. It's the most efficient one. Go down this route, and you're gonna be able to find what you need way quicker than
mm.
going through the whole year or whatever trying to figure it out." And I think that's what a mentor is greatest at, is doing that, and also just providing feedback and guidance and all of
Yeah.
that, and just bounce ideas. Because sometimes we we find things and we're like, "Hey, is this better or is that better?" Right? And we
Right.
ask the mentor, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that one's definitely better. I've gone through both of them, or I've heard others tell
Yeah.
me that that solution is probably better, so I would go down that route." And being able to have someone like that is key to your success, because um, it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna shortcut your route to find success in what you're looking for.
How do you approach somebody, right? I think the
Mhm.
approach is very important, and the
Yeah.
communication stream. So can you
Mhm.
talk about, because I mean, sure, people watching this are like, all right, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd love a mentor. How do I go get one?
Yeah, I think that's a really tough one, because not
Mm,
everybody wants to be a mentor, and that's okay, right? But you have to shoot your shot and find some people that you align with, that you want to learn from, but also just construct a really good message, like just
mhm,
letting them know some positivities about what they've done, and why you would like them to mentor you and all
mhm.
that. I do receive some messages on Twitter about like being able to mentor them. But for me, to be honest, I'm so busy that I don't have time right now.
Yeah.
But when I do have time, then I would love to continue mentor. And the way that I mentor now is just through my tweets and through groups and all that stuff, opposed to like one-on-one mentoring. that to me right now, because of my family and my
Yeah.
job and all that stuff, I'm like, man, I don't have time. When I do it, I want to go 110% in, and if
Yeah.
I can't do that, then I can't provide that.
100%. 100%. I love this. Danny coming in here, mentor, another Danny. Mentorship is important. I'm a firm believer that if I've been in the industry for as long as I have and don't give back, it's just selfish. I'm here because of the mentors I had, and I have to keep that cycle going. I love that mentality so much. So let's talk about Danny. Shashi should mentor me. So let's talk about the ask, right?
Yeah,
Sabrina comes in here, shoot your shot. I've I've become, and this is gonna sound weird. I've become a freak, but like that sounds weird, but like I've just become obsessed with just going for the ass now. Like
yeah,
I'm just like, you know what? Like tells me no, tells me no. Like not a
yeah.
big deal. So can you talk about how going for the ass has helped you in your career?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of my career, I think most of us feel this way. It's like, oh, I don't want to ask. Oh, I don't want to try because what if they reject me?
Mm,
What if this happens, right? And it's I've gotten to the point where I'm like, screw it, go for it. Because if you don't try, you're gonna miss 100% of the chances. You don't even try, right? Like you don't shoot. And
Michael
so
Scott, Wayne Gretzky.
yeah, yeah, the Wayne Gretzky quote, right?
Yeah,
Because if you're going to be in the same situation you are by not asking. And so
yeah,
just give it a try and
yeah.
ask. And like I said, not everybody wants to be a mentor, and not everybody has the time at that
Sure.
particular time to say like, "Oh yeah, of course I'll do that," and that's okay.
Yeah,
But somebody will be like, "You know what? Like you know, this message is so heartening, and then like I want to help you out."
yeah.
And you never know, right? And you
Yeah.
might get somebody that is really all in and helping you out and all of that. So definitely, like, definitely go for it.
Has there been a specific time in your career where that ask has really helped you at all? Is there? I mean, can you think of a time, maybe a position change, maybe
Mhm.
new job? I mean, is there anything that, if not, no worries. I know I'm putting you on the spot for this one, but just didn't know if there's a time in your career where going for the ask really paid off.
Um, yeah, I had a recent incident and work incident, and I wanted to find somebody that could potentially give me some suggestions. And I reached out to one of my skips, not knowing if they would be okay with it, and just letting them know like what's going on and stuff. And they're like, "Yeah, I'm glad you asked because not many people are willing to, confront and
Mm,
just be like, hey, like, can you help me with this?"
yeah,
Um, and sometimes that's the deal, right? It's like we're just too afraid to ask because of rejection, but
yeah,
at the same time, it's like, no, like, no, please ask
yeah,
because we want to help you and we're here to help you.
yeah,
And so that person was able to help guide me like through some suggestions and opinions and all of that to navigate through the situation I was going through. And it really
yeah,
helped because it hurt because I had to do something that was really uncomfortable, but it made a lot of sense. And I was like, oh, okay, I gotta
yeah.
do this. It's gonna help me, and I did, and that was really beneficial for me.
So let's talk about um, conferences, meetups,
Yeah.
being in places, at places. Because I think there's a lot of people that. Um, I mean, here's the deal. I'm actually, let me say this. I'm speaking for myself. I think COVID allowed me to stay at home my whole and allowed me, because I'm an introvert, right? I am. And everyone's like, no, you're not an introvert. I am. The problem is you just see me when I'm good, right? You don't live with me. My wife sees me when I'm bad, right? And so like my thing is like, I've kind of become selfish with my time and I kind of don't want to leave the house. But man, after coming off last week from going to React Miami and then Connect-A-Ha out in Omaha, Nebraska, and just being around the engineering community, I just have a new energy now. And so, can you talk about what being in the community means to you and why people need to show up to things?
Yeah, I would say that going to conferences and meetups is something that we all should do. Like at the beginning, you talked about networking, right?
Yeah,
That's a huge thing, and what better way to go and be with people just like you in your career. That because when you go to these events, some people, sure, some people are there just to learn and stuff, but a lot of people are there to network. Like
Yeah.
everybody there wants to meet someone new, wants to continue to network. And it's a great opportunity for you to let them know who you are and to expand your network
Hmm.
because like that's the key is networking is going to get you to places and get you opportunities in the future. And I always say that sometimes the networks you connect with, they are not fruitful right away, but
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
end they will be, or they can be. Majority of them won't be right away. It takes time and all that stuff. I had a connection. All right, let me tell you a story time. um,
Yes. Shashi
um,
story time. Everybody pull out your books and dim your lights and
Yep. So I applied for a job and I got rejected because I didn't have enough Angular experience. And I was like, that's fine. They were looking for 5 years. I had none. And I really loved the company, right? I loved them so much. I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep in touch with them and connect with this hiring manager on LinkedIn. Okay. So got rejected 3 years later. I saw that he was speaking at a conference in Minneapolis, and shout out to my Minnesota people. Um, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna attend and go say hi to him, right? Intentionally, because I've met him. I never met him in person. I talked to him over the phone and all that stuff. And so I didn't go to the meetup because something had happened to my son. And so I'm like, oh, I'm bummed out. I went back and I messaged him and I said, hey, yo, I saw that you were speaking at the conference. I was going to come up and say hi to you and all that stuff, but hopefully it went well. And he was like, hey, yeah, thanks. Thank you for that. And he said, hey, you know what? Are you still looking for a job? And I said, yeah, I am. And then he said, I'm leaving. And I think you'd be perfect to replace me. And I
stop.
was like, what? He was
Because you
like,
sent that email.
yeah, yeah. And he was like, yeah, like he said this. He said, I didn't even tell my boss yet that I'm leaving, but I think that you're perfect for this position. And I was like, whoa. And so what happened was I got an interview, one candidate went in, killed it. They hired me, flip flop, done. Because I was intentional about my network. I was intentional about, hey, I'm gonna keep tabs on you and let you know that I wanted to attend your conference or whatever. Or hey, great job on that um, at speaking at this conference or whatever. Right? You never know where these things are gonna go. I didn't know that, but this was like a company that I really wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, well, networking,
So
intentional.
talk about being intentional, and I think this could go into the interviewing, right? Because again, I mean, not that we're wrapping up yet, but we're about halfway through now, right? So I want to get to everything. Talk
Yeah,
about intentionality, and maybe it's interviewing, maybe it's networking, right? I talk about intentionality a ton. What does intentionality mean to you?
yeah. It means that you have to get out of your own shell
Mm,
and go and be intentional about like talking to someone. Be intentional about catching up with someone. Just be intentional about um, being up to speed, right? Because sometimes, like a lot of times, when I see people have success on LinkedIn or whatever, I'll put it in the comments, but I'll go into the DMs and say, "Hey, yo, congrats on that! I'm excited for you," right? And I truly am. But
yeah.
that intentionality that brings you up to the forefront of them thinking about you too. And be like, oh yeah, I remember this person. They were this, and that, and that's cool. And guess what's going to happen next time when I, post my success or something? They're going to come and do the same thing for me. And
Mhm.
so by being intentional about going above and beyond and being just being a human, like just connecting with people genuinely, it goes a long way.
And so I've talked about this a lot, and I'm just interested to hear your thoughts. Like I think we need to view networking over LinkedIn, over Twitter, over your platform of choice as actual networking, right? I
Yeah.
still think
Yeah.
people sleep on the liking and commenting, the DMing on LinkedIn, and it's I mean it's completely transformed my career, and obviously you have an amazing following, and it
Yeah.
sounds like you do the same stuff. I mean, can you just encourage the folks today about how important it is to do stuff like that?
Yeah. It's very important because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of big accounts that will not, right? They have huge followings, but they don't follow a lot of people. And
Right.
that's intentional because they feel, I guess it's me now too. We feel like we want to follow people that we want to see in our timeline, right? And all of
Sure.
that. But at the same time, we don't know who you are. You could be a person that connects well with us, but we don't know that unless if you're intentional about it by
Hmm.
commenting, by continuously you letting us know who you are, right?
Right.
There's a friend that I made on Twitter. His name is Mike Chan. We created a community together called Let's Get Technical on Discord,
Yeah.
and he messaged me one day. He was like, "Dude, I love your tweet about mentoring and all stuff." And he had like 100 followers, right? I'm like, "Okay, cool." It said CEO of a startup. I was like, okay. And then he kept commenting, and I was like, yo, this guy's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we just got in a coffee chat together. I was like, yo, like I didn't expect this from you. Like you're
Yeah.
so cool compared to like um your comments and stuff. I mean, no, not compared to comments, but the comments allowed me to be drawn into his personality and to connect with them. And without that, I don't think I would have like got closer to him. And because like online, it's so hard to gauge who people are.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I would say you never know, right? It's kind of like what you said, like the COO of a company had a few hundred followers. Like you just, a lot of the ones with like a lot of followers, and listen, this isn't the case across the board, but
Yeah.
just because somebody has a lot of followers doesn't mean they have a lot of pull or a lot of um, influence, right? And
Yeah.
so I would say you got to treat everybody the same, whether they have 100 followers or zero
Yep.
connections to 200,000 followers, right?
Yep.
You
I
got to
agree.
treat it. You just never know. You just never know. Never know.
Yeah.
So let's get into yes, Jason, this is still live, man. We are still live and we are still here. So let's get into interviewing, right? So last 10 minutes or so of the show here, you talked to me about how you struggle to interview, and I think that really would resonate with a lot of people. So if you can kind of go into kind of your interview story a little bit.
Yeah. So two years ago, I was looking to jump ship to someplace else, and um, I hadn't been, I've been in the workforce for a long time, and I thought that, hey, like I could probably find a job real quick. I have experience. I can go in, kill the interview, and all of that. And granted, I was from the Midwest, okay, Upper Midwest in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and I'll tell you, like the interviewing style is different than
Hmm.
like Silicon Valley or Austin.
Hmm.
And so I moved down to Austin, and I was looking for a new place, and mostly trying to find Austin remote positions. And by I thought that just by doing it, I can potentially land a job in a month or two. Hey, Robert, good to see you here, man. He's one of the guys. He's one of my
I love it. I love
mentors
it. I
for
love it.
sure.
I love it.
Um, and by like I didn't realize that it was different, and so I interviewed so much. It was like a full time job
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
almost a whole year. Like I
Mhm.
had 7, 8 interviews a week,
Mhm.
multiple rounds, and all that stuff. And the hardest thing was the technical side of things because I'm a doer, right? And I've been doing the work and all that stuff. I didn't understand the technicalities of how things were being put together. I knew how to do it because I was on the
You
job and I
you're
just
doing it.
put pieces together, right?
Right.
But technicality wise, I didn't know the right terms or all of that, and that really hurt me because in the interview they would ask specifically like these terms. I'm like, I think it's like this. This is how I do it, and I
Right.
think that was not something that they didn't like because I didn't
Right.
know exactly what they're talking about. And I
Right.
was like, well, I think I know what you're talking about, but I just probably translate it differently, and so that, and I always say like the coding rounds are tough, right? Like sometimes you'll get some data structures and algorithm questions. Sometimes you'll get some take home questions, and I always say, like you can't hate the player, but you can hate the game because that's a part of the game. Is that a
Mm.
lot of companies they like to interview that way. So if you
Mhm.
want to play the game, you have to learn the rules and play
Mhm.
by that. And so the interviewing style of coding is completely different from your day to day. And I thought that my day to day skills could translate over. I'm like, oh, I got this. When I'm like, oh, damn, like I can't even do this well and efficiently and all of that. And so not until I was able to talk to somebody and they were able to let me know that um, it's not about like getting it the most performant. It's about getting it done efficiently and well. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like all the way through. We just want to hear your mindset and how you construct this and how you put this thing through. And it could be in an iterative approach. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like I was trying to get the perfect solution down every single time, and
Right.
it was not working.
Yeah, no, and that's, again, I'm not a developer, but that's the one thing I've constantly heard, right? We don't want it perfect. We just want to get, this is going to sound weird, get inside your brain and figure out how you think. There's one question here from Brett. Can you give some tips on getting the technicality down, knowing how to talk about what you know how to do?
Yeah, this one I'd say it's very tough. It
Just
depends on the person.
keep
But it's all practice, right?
Yeah.
Like what I did after what I knew I was failing on is I got books. I got like these beginner books like Eloquent JavaScript and all this stuff where I was like, okay, I got to dig in. I got to do the work. I got to understand it, write it, like pretty much going to school, right? Like writing it down, doing some studies and understanding it, and then practice interviewing. I wrote some questions down and I had my wife ask me the questions. And that was one step. And then I also had Mike Chan interview me because he's been at Google, Yahoo, and all that stuff, right? And I said, hey, can you do a mock interview? He said, yeah. So he did, and he gave me, some challenges and stuff like that, and gave me some pointers, which really helped because I feel like when you can go to someone that you trust and that has a lot of experience, it's better than going to like any of those other interviewing prep courses because sure they'll give you some feedback and stuff, but Mike was able to really like hone in on like what I'm good at, what I'm not, and I was able to take that away and be like, okay, I need to work on this because if I want to find that next job, these are the things that I need to work on and hone on.
So I'm curious your thoughts, Shashi. I've talked about this a lot. Is having a Google Doc, Notion, pen and paper, something to brain dump all of your thoughts,
100%.
concerns, questions missed after an interview. Because my thought is if you're going through the interview process, right? You went through the interview process, you said, for close to a year. There's a lot of people right now doing it every. It's taken me around 6 months right now. I mean, I know our guy Emmett who landed a job. It was almost a year before he found another job, right? So if you're interviewing for that long and you have all this data in a doc or a Notion page, like that's going to be a huge study guide.
Yep.
So, I mean, I curious your thoughts on that.
No, I totally agree because the day that I started to the day that I landed a job, I was 1,000% better because after every interview, I didn't write down every question, but I wrote down most questions that they asked me, and then I would go and find answers for them. Or I would say I would ask other people if I was able to get it, I was able to answer it properly, and that really helps because then you're going to grow along. Not everybody's going to ask you the same exact question, but it allows you to grow. It allows you to understand, like, if a similar question comes up, how are you going to answer it?
Correct.
Right. And I think the biggest thing is that the soft skills, right? The soft skills part of it, where there's some tips where, hey, write down your answers in the star format, all that stuff, practice it, yada, yada, yada. And I was really good at that, but I wasn't good at the other side of things. And so that's where I'm like, okay, if I can't even pass the first round of technicality, I can't even get to the things that I'm really good at.
Correct. So I love this from Robert, and I'm really big on this. Avoid jargon and big words. I love this. I've become so passionate about it, especially with all my content creation. I think the biggest thing that plagues a lot of people is technical jargon for the industry, right? Because I think people hide behind words, right? They say words. It's just words. They don't know what it means. They just heard about it. And so what are your thoughts on this, ma'am? Because I love this right here.
No, it's true. Like the jargon is sometimes we just say stuff to say it, right? And we don't even know what we're talking about because we just heard it. And
Right.
it's like, that's great, but do you understand what you're talking about? Like, probably not sometimes, most of the times. Yeah.
Let's see here. Going through here, you got an Eloquent JavaScript is a great book. Let's see here. If you miss a question on an interview, solve it, then write a blog post. I love
Yep.
that. You talk about from a content creation
Yep.
perspective. Love this.
That's a great
Um,
idea.
yeah, interview yourself if you can. Yeah, I'm really big on interviewing. So I went to school, or my minor in college was public speaking, and we had to record ourselves. And I
And
wish
you're
I
an
had.
introvert? Come on, bro.
Oh, I know. I wish I had. I had a video of my early college presentation days. The ums, the buts,
Yeah.
the so's.
No.
So have you. Speaking of that, have you done something like this, Shashi? Like, have you recorded yourself? I mean, if not, that's fine. I just didn't know if you use that.
Yeah, I don't. But one thing I do that's similar is I talk to myself in the mirror, right?
Love that. It's awkward.
And
It's hard. If you
it's,
like,
oh, yeah.
not breaking eye contact with yourself. Like if you can talk to yourself in a
Yep.
mirror, your wife will be like, "What the hell is Shashi? Stop
Yeah,
putting myself up. Leave
she
me alone."
is. She does that. She's like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "I'm practicing." I'm
It's
like,
like
"Why
your
don't you
wife
just
comes up and
practice
goes,
with
"Who are you talking
me? Why do
to?"
you have to practice with yourself?" I'm like, I don't know, because you weren't around, so it's a good way to practice.
I love
But
it.
I think it is good to, like, if you could record yourself. But I think the problem is that because I'm starting to create a YouTube dev content, is when I get on camera, it's different.
Yeah,
It's different. You have the nerves. It's just different.
it's
But
just so
when
different.
you're interviewing, like, I don't feel that pressure. For me, I don't. I just feel like I'm just talking to somebody, even if
I
it's through
love
the
that.
camera or whatever,
Love
right?
that.
But when
Love
you
that.
record yourself, it's like it's a little bit odd. But if you can do that, all for it. Do that. Talk in the mirror. Practice. Practice. Practice.
Yeah, and listen, we all have phones. Set up your phone, selfie style.
Yep.
I have this right here. I do my content on this, but also buy you one of these. Amazon, $20. Set it
Yep.
up. Google most commonly asked engineering questions. Read it and answer it. Film yourself and play it back again. It'll help.
It's a great
I
tip.
promise. Danny comes in here. I thought if I learned all the big technical words, it meant immediate hire. Yes. All right. So we're going to wrap up here. Shashi, we'll need a part 2 for sure. This is just such good information, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Anything else that we didn't get to that you want? I have 2 more questions to end it, but I wanted to ask before these last 2, anything else that you want to impart on our viewers? And again, everybody watching today, thank you so much. The comment section has been
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
so thank you so much.
I do want to shout out to Robert again, Robert Spear. He gave me the single best advice in my career. I was freelancing and we were at a co-working space and we started to work together. And he said, "Shashi, why are you focused on so many things?" And I said, "What are you talking about? I thought this is what I was supposed to do to be a developer." He said, "No, you're doing design, you're doing development, you're doing backend, you're doing project man, you're doing this, and that. Like, you're doing so many things. You should focus on one role and be really good at it and specialize in it. And then people and companies will want you and hire for that. And then you can expand your knowledge on the other things." And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And that's when I became a front end engineer. Is that I fully focus on the front end and then we work together and allow him to do the project management and the back end and all of that. And I took that and ran with it. And my career has thrived since then because now, yes, I'm pretty much a full stack developer, but I don't say that because my specialty is front end engineering, UX engineering. And that's what I've been known for. And that helps me with my career, with people understanding what I do and all of that. And I just want to say, yeah, if anything, follow that guy. He's given me so much good advice in my career.
I love that. All right, last 2 questions. First question: what tool, technology, trends are you kind of tinkering with that's fun and kind of curious right now?
Some tools and technologies right now. I'm doing NX. NX builds mono repos, and then I'm putting a module federation, which from Webpack, on top of that.
Okay.
It is super nifty, super cool that you can build an application, deploy it, and then as you deploy new updates to it, it automatically updates if another application is utilizing it. So it doesn't care about versioning or anything. As long as you push it up there, it just goes right up. I think those two things are really cool. And currently, right now, building a UI component library with Storybook. I've used Storybook before, but with Storybook 4, I believe the new version that came out, I'm hoping to upgrade so I can get those new features as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do want to get to Braden's question because it is really, really good. Oh man, we still got questions coming in. All right, we'll be quick. What's the best way to approach small business about making a website or making their website better as a junior who technically doesn't have any professional experience? Go.
I think the best way is to construct an email or a message to them, letting them know who you are, and then the things that can help them improve their
Yeah,
website.
give them.
Yeah, a line item of like, okay, from a customer standpoint, this can improve. From an analytical standpoint, this can improve, right? Because they want ROI, return on investment. If you go say, "Hey, I want to build your website because it sucks," no, that's not gonna, that's not going to help. You have to say,
Right.
"Oh, I want to increase the usability of your site because we can't find it," or I want to increase the content because content is important for SEO, and SEO ranks you higher. Means that when people search for that particular industry, you'll be able to get up there higher. Giving them analytics and numbers and justifications for user and return on investment, I think that's a really big thing.
I love that. And Danny chimed in too. Says also just ask, which I love. Last question came in. Again, these are all like really long. These are like really in-depth questions, but we're just
Yeah.
gonna hit we gotta go. How do you
Yeah.
deal with review anxiety?
Oh,
Does it ever go away? It never. I feel like it just never goes away.
it never goes away. I would say that when you have that anxiety during the interview, just breathe. Just breathe and then also be honest with them and be like, "Hey, can you give me 30
30 seconds.
seconds
Yeah.
off camera? I just need to collect my thoughts and stuff."
Yeah.
Be honest with it. And if they can't respect that, that means that you shouldn't go there, right?
Right.
Because there needs to be a mutual respect there. Because
Right.
interviewing is not easy. It's a
Right.
whole skill and it's on its own. Like it's different. It's completely
And
different.
don't feel like you have to answer the question immediately, right?
Yeah.
Just say, "Hey, listen, can I get 30 seconds and let me kind of just jot some stuff down." Right. And
Exactly.
it may be awkward. That's okay. Right. I feel like a lot of people are like, they gotta like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
It's like, no, if like, hey, can I have a minute? I have my pen and paper. I'm just jotting some notes, collect my thoughts. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, because you know what that shows? You're methodical, you're
Yeah.
intentional, which is what hiring managers want to hear. So
Yeah.
all right, last question. We'll wrap it up. This show is called Guidance Counselor 2.0 because we had guidance counselors in middle school, high school, and college, but now as adults, we don't really have a true guidance counselor. What would be your biggest career advice for your? What would be your biggest piece of career advice for your younger self?
My biggest advice would be to network, to build connections, and to continue to expand those connections because you never know when and where those connections will come from. And like I was saying in earlier in this live stream was I had a connection that wasn't fruitful right away, but after several years, it got me a job, almost a dream job that I
Mhm.
had always coveted for. Um, and I continue to make networks today, but my younger self would not go to meetups, would not be upfront, would not be confrontational, would not be intentional, right? Because it was like, oh, I don't want to, it's too hard. Oh, I don't want to, like it's too much work. That's the whole part of it is it's not easy, but you need to do it because by doing that, like even if you're an introvert, like I'm not saying I go up to somebody and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Whatever, but like intentionally, like message someone on LinkedIn or Twitter or something. That's a good step. Going
Yep.
to a meetup and intentionally making connections because everybody there is there to make connections as well.
Yep.
That is like probably the biggest thing in your career is to build a network, to continue to build relationships, and that's gonna continue to just be like it's gonna forever be there. Where in the future, some of these connections will come back and help you out, or you can help them out as well.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, you guys have a good one. That was a blast. Shashi, stay on real quick so I can say bye to you off air.
Sounds
But
good.
y'all, thank you so much. Go connect with Shashi. Hope y'all had a great day. Tomorrow, it's just going to be me. I'm actually going to talk about basically like a few steps. If you get laid off today, what do you have to do? So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, so y'all have a great Tuesday. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Central. Peace.